What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy. And I'm Johnny.
I'm Randy.
And this is our
I think I threw my kneecap out.
this is our second YouTube episode.
The tube.
Yes, and man, it is officially spooky season.
You know what I get to do during the month of October?
What's that?
Man, when you get there, you get the Mexican food eat, and you get the rumbles in your tummy. You get to go home and take a spooky dookie. All for the month of October.
Yes.
Doodles is called spooky dookies.
That's right. Yeah, but here it is. We're finally in October, and me and Randy have not been able to record in a couple of weeks, just due to life being busy, you know. And man, what a good way to start October, because this, spoiler alert, is actually my favorite film of the Conjuring universe, The Conjuring 2.
I think I'm prepared to say the same.
Really?
I love Conjuring, the first Conjuring.
Yeah, you gave it
Yeah.
our grade. I think you gave it an 8, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I did too. But I really think the story and the setting of this one sends it over the top.
Oh, yeah. And before we get started, these our videos and podcasts do contain spoilers. So just letting you know if you haven't seen the film, which
if you haven't seen the movie, it's been out since like
2016. 8 years.
Yeah.
So
where have you been?
Right. But with that being said, as always, please check our social media out.
I mean, you have to be able to check it.
Yeah. Our Facebook is Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy. Our Instagram is Small Town Horror Johnny _Randy. And our TikTok is at Small Town Horror Podcast.
Yeah, it's not special.
No.
It's Small Town Horror.
And now, of course, our YouTube video
we on the Tubi.
Yeah. Our YouTube channel is Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy.
So now you get to see these beautiful faces.
Yes. And like I said in the last episode, don't even go to X anymore or Twitter, because I ain't doing that crap no more.
He's just negative.
It's the people on it that's negative.
Yeah, and then they make you negative.
Yeah, that's true. Negativity rubs off on people.
Stop letting people affect your mood.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to tell y'all people. Don't be angry. Angry is a punishment you put on yourself because of other people. Stop being angry.
Now, having that said, this guy don't suffer from any anxiety or nothing, and I suffer. Like, we are the exact opposite.
I really don't.
How did we describe it the other day? I married you and you married me. Like, my wife is just like Randy.
Yeah.
And his wife is just like me on some things. So
yeah, they're both frugal.
Yeah. But anyway, with that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning into our last YouTube video and the podcast.
Like, it's not our last.
Yeah,
it's
the last one we put out. Yeah. And as always, you can find our podcast. You can download us on iTunes. We're available on Spotify.
Are we?
Yeah.
Are we on like Breaker?
Yes. Apple Podcasts.
Google Podcasts?
Yeah. Pocket Cast is one of them. So
you know what all those things got in common?
You can find us on it?
Yeah, I mean, besides that.
Oh, what's that?
They got this thing called a Rate Me, where you can give stars.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all knew this or not.
But yeah, get on iTunes or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever you guys and gals listen to us on, and leave us a review. You can give us 5 stars if you feel like we deserve it. I know our longtime listeners are maybe transferring over to YouTube now, but just give us thoughts and tell us what you like about the show, what you don't like about it. And as always, drop those comments in the YouTube videos, man. Like, tell us if you want to hear us review something specific. Like I said, this has been dedicated to the Conjuring universe, and I think now all we have left is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I believe that's the last episode that we have in this.
Yes, I have not seen that one yet.
I've seen it one time, but other than that, I think we have some planned out. Like, this year marks the 40th anniversary of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I know we was going to do that.
Were we?
Yeah.
We have to?
Yeah. But anyway.
I don't know if I want to watch Johnny Depp get murdered.
Spoiler, man. Maybe somebody ain't seen it. It's only been out 40 years.
I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah. But anyway, now that all the plugs are out of the way, Randy,
Yes, sir.
you ready to get into this episode, man?
Man, let's do this.
All right, you got a summary?
Man, I got your summary. What you talking about? I got my phone out. You got the summary on it.
And you just said, well, go, hey, the camera can't see my phone, can it? And now you're holding it up where everybody can see it.
You think these people think I'm smart enough to memorize all this?
Well, they don't know you, but the way you're acting, they probably...
I'm a cheater. Anyway.
In all ways.
In 1977, in Enfield, the paranormal investigators Lorraine and Ed Warren traveled to London to help the Hodgsons. After sensing her daughter to be possessed and her 4 children haunted by supernatural happenings, Peggy Hodgson asks for help when a malicious entity takes possession of her second eldest child, Janet. However, there's something more threatening, not only for the inhabitants, but also for the investigator couple. Something that they couldn't even imagine.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun-dun-dun.
Hey, that is a pretty good summary, though.
It really is. I was going to read this other one, but it was like this big, and it didn't have enough.
You know all about that.
Anyway. Stupid.
Anyway.
No tacos.
No tacos.
No tacos.
We had a long conversation before we actually started the podcast about what would happen if me and Randy was never allowed to eat tacos again. It's a sad situation. That's what goes through mine and Randy's mind is tacos.
I don't even want to think about it. That's more scary than this movie.
Yeah. But
like if they were like, no tacos or you die, and I'm like, you talking dead or just kind of like,
Right. Can I still pick the taco up and eat it?
Like, we talking leg cramps? Because I can deal with leg cramps. Doo-doos? I can handle the doo-doos.
Anyway. All right, man.
I love tacos.
So why don't you hit us up with the cast?
All right. So we've got returning. This may be one of the best couple people, like the couples in most movies I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So we got Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson playing Lorraine and Ed Warren.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Madison Wolfe playing Janet Hodgson. Or is it Hodgson? Hodgson? Hodgson.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get that right again. Lauren Esposito plays Margaret Hodgson. Simon McBurney plays Maurice Grossi. Frances O'Connor plays Peggy Hodgson, the mom.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Joseph Bishara returning as the demon. Patrick McCauley plays Johnny Hodgson. Benjamin Hall plays Billy Hodgson. And of course, this wouldn't be a Conjuring movie or a Conjuring Universe movie without Bonnie Aarons.
Oh, yeah, Bonnie.
Returning as the nun.
She's so cool.
Yes, she is. Who else do we've got? We've got Marie Doyle Kennedy playing Peggy Nottingham, the neighbor across the street.
Right.
We've got Javier Batet plays the Crooked Man. Not who I thought it was. Bob Adrian plays Bill Wilkins.
Yeah.
I don't know if it doesn't like differentiate.
Yeah.
But there's 2 different versions you get. You get the one like the demon possessed version of Bill, and then you get the one in Lorraine's vision.
I think it's the same person.
It might be the same person, just
is.
different makeup and stuff.
Yeah. So. That's one thing I really enjoy about this film is the cast. I think the cast is perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everybody played off each other good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's one of those things, like, you never really know what a good cast can do until you watch a movie with a bad one.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, this would have been better if it had this person, or if it didn't have these people in it, you know? So.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, overall, like I said, I really feel like the cast itself, man, it's like all the way up to the kids even did a great job.
The little girl that played Janet,
mm-hmm.
Awesome, phenomenal job.
Yeah, and the big sister, I thought, like I said, her acting was great too.
Yeah, even the little boys, like, they really didn't play a huge role in it.
Yeah.
Billy played a bigger role because he was bullied.
Yes.
And then Johnny had a small part. I think his name was Johnny.
Yeah.
He had a small part when he was trying to be brave and confront and keep the demon from bullying his sister.
Yeah, they waited to the third act to actually give him lines.
Exactly. And I don't think the other little kid said anything. I don't remember hearing him say anything. There was another little boy, wasn't
No, it was
there? It
just
was just Billy and Johnny.
yeah. It was
And
two
then
boys, two girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm tripping.
But The Conjuring come out. The Conjuring 2 come out in 2016, and is categorized as horror, of course. It was directed by James Wan, which does a phenomenal job.
Piece de la Resistance.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. The budget for this film was $40 million.
Oh, I know it made that.
The box office, it made $321.8 million.
In spades.
Yeah. IMDb gave this a 7.3 out of a 10.
Which is respectable for IMDb.
That's what I was thinking. And Rotten Tomatoes
Oh gosh.
gave it an 80%.
What?
Yeah. So
wow.
For the first time, I'm
Yeah.
actually,
It's like right there.
yeah. So, I mean, overall, even the critics like this film. So, to get started with it, I'm going to go ahead and say that this film, to me, I never really always put sequels over the original. And
Well, it's rare that they ever even get close to meeting
right.
the original.
And when I first seen The Conjuring, man, like that was one of the biggest horror, paranormal, mystery horror films that had come out in decades. Like everybody was talking about The Conjuring. And then when they were announced they were going to do part 2, like I said, I do like sequels, but it was one of those, man, they're going to have to step their game up.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly feel like they did.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it's not. So think about all the movies that you've ever watched that have a sequel to them.
Yeah.
And think about even trilogies. How many movies actually nail the sequel?
Right.
How many movies nail the first one, fall off on the second one, and then fall completely off on the third one?
Right.
It's more often than not that your second movie isn't going to be near as good as the first one.
Right.
That's not the case in this.
Right. And something that I would compare it to is the original Terminator is a wonderful film. And then when part 2 come out and it was Terminator 2 Judgment Day, everybody that I have ever spoken to, everybody you watch online, if you say what's a better sequel than the original, they always say Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
See, and this is where he's going to like completely snap, because the only Terminator I have ever seen was Judgment Day.
No, I'm not going to snap because you've already told me that, and it still blows my mind.
Yeah, that's the only one I've ever seen.
And
but I like it.
Well, another popular opinion, Child's Play 2, I feel is better, and a lot of people feel that it is better than Child's Play 1. But
man, it's close. For me, it's close.
Well, the reason I feel that way is because on the first one, it's more of a mystery of who done it.
Yeah.
Where on the second one,
now you know who did it,
and it's just Chucky at his best. So,
well, see, that's like, and it's not the second one, but it is a sequel part of it. Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
Everybody that I have ever talked to about it, Dream Warriors is their favorite.
Yeah.
Like I have not found any like
besides me. I love the original best.
Right. But like nobody ever really says like New Nightmare, and nobody ever says like, you know,
right.
And so to me, Nightmare on Elm Street is Dream Warriors.
Right, right.
And like now, Friday the 13th is Freddy versus Jason, thanks to you. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's like everybody has their own and their favorites.
Exactly. And that's one thing that I love discussing, not just horror movies, but movies in general, because everybody's got their own opinions on it. And normally arguments don't happen to where people can come together and be like, I see your way, but I still prefer this.
Yeah, because y'all get ready on the YouTube channel. Eventually, me and Johnny are going to go into our favorite comedy movies of all time.
Yeah. I think we should seriously do like a tier listing.
Oh, yeah.
Of just different stuff, like, you know, like.
That's because you got in your notes all the time. Because we'll be sitting somewhere and he's like, all right, you're on a desert island. You can only have 5 movies. What are the 5 movies?
Now, wait a minute. When we do that, it's normally either we're taking a road trip or we're at the camper.
Yeah.
So, but no, man, this whole universe has been a blast. I'm glad we decided to do it. And
I can't believe we're almost done.
I know. And to me, like I said, I just feel like on this film, and this is not a knock to the original, but because the original, like you said, was one of your favorite uh, horror films. Uh, and I love the original. I can sit down and watch it anytime. But this one to me feels more fast paced. Um, and I feel like this one actually makes you root for the family even more. Like you don't want to see these kids being tortured. And Lorraine, I think this is the best that out of all the movies they've been in as Ed and Lorraine. I think this is the best dynamic between them both because you really feel that relationship.
You know what's funny is like, okay, I love this one, but you know why I think I would always put The Conjuring over this one, like the first one,
What's that?
and it would only be like here's The Conjuring, here's part 2 type
Right,
thing.
right.
It's because I remember the way I felt when I watched the first Conjuring,
Right.
and that makes all the difference in the world to me.
I got
It's
you.
like I mean, you laugh about it. I know you like the movie too, just not as much as I do. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid watching that.
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like that takes that makes a big difference. There are some movies that are just not great that people love simply for the fact that they remember where they were when they watched it. They remember how they felt when they first watched it. Like I was telling you, there's a movie out there's a movie that I remember watching with my dad, and it was called Subspecies Bloodstone.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling you about it.
Yep.
And I finally found a trailer for it. And me and you were sitting there watching it, and all the time I was watching this trailer for it now, I was like, this movie is corny. It was terrible. You could tell it was B-rated. I don't even know if it's B-rated. But you could tell that the graphics were just not great. And it was just, but I remember watching that movie with my dad.
Right, right.
And it was one of those things like, that's why I think we need to do it. Not because it's some great movie,
Right.
because it had a significant, like Puppet Master. I ain't seen Puppet Master in forever.
And shocker, I've never seen any of the Puppet Masters.
And see, that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why this works.
Exactly.
He's like the mainstream horror movies, and I'm these weird ones that
I had never heard of. I was the more of the popular three.
Yeah.
Freddy, Jason, and Michael. And where you were, like you said, Bloodstone and stuff.
until we got older and we both were like, Scream? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So-
we got to do.
Yeah, I
The
definitely.
whole
But I
thing.
want to wait till the new one comes out.
Oh, it'll be 20 years.
No, they were filming it now, I think.
I believe it.
And
Jenny Ortega's not in it.
no, but Sydney Prescott's back, and it's all about her now.
No, I'm yeah.
Neve Campbell knew what she was doing about that money.
I'm ready to see where that's gonna go.
Yeah, me too. But no, going back to what we were talking about, as far as I feel like this is my favorite film. I mean, it is my favorite film out of the Conjuring universe. I just feel like the pacing was better in this movie, and I feel like the scares were more like even told you at one point when the old man has Janet in the room that they've locked up,
Mm-hmm.
and the mom's she's like, "Help me, mom!" and the mom's looking through the crack of the door, and all of a sudden she sees the old man's face. Dude, I still got chills from it. I knew it was going to happen.
Well, I remember when he opened the little door in the kitchen, and she was in that little bitty compartment, all contorted, and I remember thinking that's freaky.
Yeah.
And he was like doing the jarble talking.
See, and I love that. That the first time it shows him, and he's like, "Help, won't let help," and
Yeah.
then when it cuts back, he's like, "Me go."
Dude,
me.
and when they put them all together, it gives you chills.
Yeah. And one thing I like about this film is none of the characters are dumb.
Mm-mm.
Like every time, if we watch a horror movie, a lot of us do. When something happens, you're like, I'll be out that door.
It's like
On this one, when they saw that dresser fly across the room,
they gone.
they ran out and went to the neighbors. The police officers, when they saw that chair go back, they were like,
They gone.
yeah. And
They even one that said, "It was like, look, this is beyond us."
yeah. And it's just the fact that one thing I loved about it too was the ghost or the spirit, whatever, would do stuff in front of everybody.
And that's one of the things that I noticed too, because so many times you watch these movies and they're like, "We got to get help. Help's on the way." We don't see anything.
Right.
But this one, they were like, "Look, dude, we're just gonna show it to you." I remember in the scene where they were staying at the neighbor's house, the Nottinghams,
Mm-hmm.
and the little boy went to let the dog out, and the Crooked Man popped up.
Yeah.
He ran in there, and I thought, all right, now they're just gonna like he was dreaming type stuff. Whole family in the living room, and then all of a sudden the Crooked Man rhyme started going on, and you heard the walking.
Right.
And I remember like thinking, I was like, is he really gonna show himself to the whole family? And then it was Janet, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, because the shadow was the Crooked Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. The way that they wasn't scared to show the spirit, I like that. Like, and the old man is creepy.
Mhm.
Like, especially the scene where she's got the rope around her wrist, and all of a sudden she wakes up and she's on the ceiling, and he's just sitting there rocking, and then all of a sudden he just gets up slowly, walking up the steps. I mean, they knew how to play it. I remember watching this in theater, and I would sit there and be like, Carolyn, which is my wife, and I'd be like, I'd hold my arm up, my hair's all standing up, you know, because I don't know, I get chills from it, but
it was cool that scene how they used that jump rope as a way of getting her into that locker room.
Oh yeah,
I mean the locker room was her bedroom.
Yeah,
that it was all like destroyed and stuff like that. But she had tied that around her arm in her bedroom before all this really started going on.
Right.
And it was really cool how they showed him in the recliner, walked up the stairs into her bedroom, and then pulled her straight through the ceiling.
Yeah,
that was cool.
And to me, out of all of the Conjuring universe, this has the best opening. I remember being with my wife watching The Conjuring 2 in theater, and as soon as it starts panning and it went through those windows, I leaned over, looked at Carolyn, and I was like, that's the Amityville whorehouse. I like that because Randy's the same way. We both like that backstory, and whether it really happened the way Ronnie DeFeo says, or was it a hoax or whatever, but the way they recreated it with Lorraine sitting there, and she'd sit there, cock the gun, and then she'd walk off, but you'd see in the mirror, the reflection, it was Ronnie DeFeo.
Yeah, and they really focused more on the Lutz family than anything as far as the backstory goes.
Yeah.
But then, DeFeo obviously played a big role in it. But
right.
It just would have been cool if it was Ryan Reynolds in them.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah. But no, man, like I said, overall, it's just a good flick. And it's one of those that, like me and you've talked about the original Conjuring. If somebody was like, man, I ain't never seen that. Hey, let's pop it in and watch it.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I tell you, and what's crazy is the music is Conjuring.
Yeah.
It's the Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
There were even a couple of times where you looked at me and you were like, this reminds me of The Nun. Because it's that sound.
Yeah.
But I tell you, one of the things that stuck out the most to me in this movie was camera work.
Yeah.
There were, throughout the entire movie, some phenomenal camera shots. The scene where the family's getting ready to go to bed at night, and it's like a drone behind every one of them, and it's just following them.
Oh, this is before the haunting.
Before the haunting ever happened. Just following them through the house. One continuous shot, just following each family member into the rooms.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. And it was perfect.
Yeah.
It made you it really felt like there was just a drone behind them.
Mm-hmm. The way because it moved so smoothly, man. Smoothly.
And the camera shots with the old man spirit.
Yeah.
When Ed and Lorraine finally made it there, and they had the little girl in the recliner, and they had putting the water in her mouth so they would believe that it wasn't her talking.
Yes, that's my favorite scene.
They basically what it was, the spirit said that he wouldn't talk if they were all looking at him like that. So every one of them turned around. You got a focused shot on Ed's face.
Mm-hmm.
And then her figure in the recliner went straight blurry. But the more that scene went on, the blurrier it got. But it was crazy how once Bill started talking, it wasn't like it got clearer, but you could see the shape shift.
Exactly.
From the little girl to the ghost. It was intense because there were times where if you looked hard enough, you could see the dude's face.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like you didn't have to use your imagination. Even as blurry as it was, you could still see. And what made it really creepy is it looked like it was still her hands.
Yeah.
Like when she was set back, she just had her hands on the chair. Mm-hmm. But then as the shape to it still looked like her hand.
And the shape went taller.
Exactly.
Well, the thing I noticed about it, they never cut the camera. So I wonder if that was just a one strict shot, because of course it's focusing on Ed. But I remember the creepiest part of that was when he was like, why don't you just want to go? Why don't you just, want to go to heaven? He said, I'm not a heaven person. And he said, well, I don't care about your
Belief.
beliefs. And when he held that cross backwards, the way that thing went, like started freaking out. And then that's when it started going, help me go.
Yeah.
Help. That was,
that was the first time of the ciphered message.
yeah.
And then they got it again when he was in Janet's body, locked in that little bitty cubby.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, I through the whole movie, like I can't think of a single camera shot where I was like,
Yeah.
that could have been better. Even when he was down in the basement in the water trying to get the pipe turned off, just slowly came rising up out of the water.
Yeah.
And then disappeared when he turned around. The mom was walking down into the water and she looked down and there he was. Just grabbed her.
I will say, man, for it being pretty much filmed in just one house, like like the original Conjuring,
Yeah.
but being filmed in that house, the environment, they really made it feel like the house was bigger than what it was.
Which they even played a little homage to the first house with the painting in the room.
Yeah,
Which we thought were cool. Because he was like, is that the house from the Conjuring? And I was like, I think so. And he's like, yeah, there's the tree.
yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that was cool.
And we got to talk about this is the introduction of the nun, and I think if they would have just left the nun in this, I think she'd still go down as one of the most terrifying characters. Did we need the backstory? I feel like, if you've already listened to our podcast, we both agreed that, yeah, the nun movies aren't as good as others, but I still say they're passable. It's just a slow burn. But to this day, whenever Lorraine is in there, and she's reading her Bible, and you see something go by, and the little girl gets up and goes in the hallway, and she's like, Mom, who's that? And that just still shot of the nun at the end of the hallway, that to me is still one of the creepiest shots.
I agree with you. And I like the fact that they did a backstory on her.
Mm-hmm.
But what was cool about it is you didn't necessarily need it in this movie for the context.
Right.
Because she even says when she remembers that she had jabbed and stabbed and carved the name in after that whole scene,
mm-hmm.
that when she found out the name was Valak, she even went and told Ed at one point that it was a demonic entity, a demonic spirit taking on a blasphemous form.
Yep.
Which was the nun, like a demonic nun. And then even when at the very end of it, when she was in the room with Ed and Janet, she even called out the name Valak, the defiler, the profane.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I was like, boy, she's going at it. But she let you know what kind of spirit it was.
Right.
It wasn't just like, oh, this demon's name is Valak.
Right.
It was, this is him and this is what he does. He's profane. He is blasphemous, that type of stuff. And they didn't have to do backstory.
You want to tell them, just in case some of them don't know about when she's sitting there reading the Bible, what's in the background on the bookshelf?
So I don't know if you caught this, but so when she's sitting there, she's got the Bible. Her daughter is
making beads.
Making beads. That's what it is. Well, then you get the shot of the shadow behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then when she gets up, it's like Lorraine just kind of pops. That's kind of how you know she's in her vision. So when it starts panning away from her sitting down and she goes to get up, if you look at the bookshelf behind her, you'll see little word statue, almost like paperweight looks, and it actually spells out Valak. It's like a V up here and an A down here, L and A and a K. But if you look at it, it actually says it.
Yeah, and it's even that.
So
way.
if she would have just turned around, she would have seen it.
I was going to say, yeah, it's even that way spelling it when she's not in a trance or nothing. I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
But man, you think it's time for the scale?
What scale is that?
I think it's called the pulling scale.
Pulling scale.
Pulling scale.
Pulling scale.
Pulling
scale.
You want to go first on this, or you want me to go first?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay.
No. Yeah, go first.
All right. So, spoiler alert, I've already said it at the beginning of this episode. This is my favorite Conjuring film of the whole universe. Yeah. Perfect casting. I think everybody played off each other great. I've already said this is the best version of Ed and Lorraine that we get in any of the movies. And this movie actually has a lot of emotion to it. Like, here I am sitting here watching this movie 8 years later, and when Ed's going to the basement to go help, what's her name? The main girl, Janet. And that door closes behind them, and Lorraine's like, Ed, wait, please don't. Even that scene, how it's just cutting back and forth between them, you feel her side to where she's like, I can't lose you, but he's like, hun, I know I made a promise, but I've got to help her. And as soon as he leaves and she just starts going, Ed, and she's hitting the wall and she's crying.
It's like blood curdling scream.
Yeah. Like, I feel that.
I've never seen a role define an actress the way this role defines Vera. As an actress.
Right.
She is an emotional actor.
Yes.
Such a great actor.
Have you ever watched Bates Hotel with her?
Mm-mm.
She plays mommy in it.
Really?
You ain't never seen it?
No.
It's got like 6 seasons, I think.
That's the one with what's the kid's name?
I don't know. If you say it, I ain't gonna know it. But yeah, that's him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's from The Good Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either.
But
he was The Sixth Sense. He was a little kid.
Was he?
Yeah, same kid.
No.
Yes.
That's not the same kid on The Sixth Sense. You're thinking of somebody else, buddy.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Hold up now.
Once again, there's Randy showing his ignorance.
No.
Yeah, look it up.
Go ahead. Keep with the scale.
Okay.
We're gonna check this.
But anyway, but like I said, I feel like the emotion in this movie still hits you. You feel the love between the family, the mom and the daughters and the sons. And honestly, there's not really like a character in this film that is just a straight douchebag, unless you kind of want to consider the woman that is saying, she's faking it, but she's just doing her job. That's her job. But overall, man, the scares are fantastic. The effects are good.
Yeah, different kid.
Don't you? And it's just
August Rush. That's the movie I was thinking of with the guitar. Sorry.
But it's just a film that overall I enjoy. I love to watch. And man, I think I gave the original Conjuring an A-. I believe I did. I'm giving this one an A, a solid A, because I think they used all the screen time perfectly. They built it up in the first act, and by the second, we're rocking and rolling. And the third act, I feel like the finale of the film is phenomenal. And I love how they introduced the nun in this, Valak, and just the dramatic scene, especially where Ed's trying to save Janet and the steam comes out and hits his eyes. That even made it a more intense scene. So the finale, definitely a thumbs up. So yeah, that's going to be my rating, is a thumbs up. I highly recommend you to watch the film, add it to your collection if you're a horror fan. And yeah, definitely an A, and a solid A.
There was also a kid in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Sorry.
Yeah.
August Rush was the first movie that popped in my head. Anyway. Yeah. So, hate the movie. Total garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. Man, there's really nothing more that I could add that you didn't say already. And that we haven't already talked about, man. The cast is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really feel like this may be one of the best on-screen couples that I can think of.
Yeah,
between Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, they're amazing together.
Yes.
And the more that I watch her in these movies as Lorraine, the more I love her as an actress.
Yeah,
she is phenomenal. And Patrick Wilson also he's underrated, man. So much. And I know I always get them mixed up between like scenes from Insidious and from The Conjuring.
Yeah.
But it's his fault because he's just such a good job between. It's almost like not the same character, but the same character type thing.
Well, the pastor that's in this, the priest, he's in the Insidious films as well.
See, they're not helping.
I don't know if you remember, but he's the one that would have like the bones and the rocks, and he would throw it.
Oh yeah.
That's him.
See, they're not helping my brain. But yeah. Like I said before, man, the thing that sticks out to me the most in this is the way they do the camera work. and it was just because it makes it so intense. Like when I don't there was a scene where what was it? It was Lorraine, and she was looking at one way and then turning around and then looking back, and then each time she would turn around, it'd be something different or it'd be something more.
Is it where the first time she was singing the nun?
That's what it was. Yeah, they were in that room and the light would flicker off and she would turn around, she would look.
Mm-hmm.
It's man, the way they go back and forth. But
And it showed the nun's eyes, and then when she flicked the light on, it was
the painting.
Yeah.
But then you could clearly tell when the light would go off, it was the actual nun.
Right.
Yeah, the whole cast, aside from Farmiga and Wilson, it was just they just played great off each other. I think the family with the mom, the two girls, and the two boys, I think they all played off each other really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's. The Conjuring 1 is one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like, if it wasn't for the emotion and for the nostalgia of the first one, this would be number one, hands down.
I got you.
There's just no other films out there like it that don't indulge in the vulgarity of what everybody says horror should be.
Right.
It's not the blood and guts. It's not the profane language. It's not, it's not obscenity at all.
Right.
It's just downright straight, heart-striking fear in all the movies, but this one in particular.
Right.
And I think that's what makes this one so much better in like your eyes, is the fact that there is so much more fear into this one.
Right.
And it's so much more, and it's not just like you can feel the fear. It's more like they put the fear into you.
Yeah.
They want you to be scared. Like you said, you got goosebumps.
Yeah.
They're like fear.
Right.
But yeah, Juan, man, is.
I hope he comes back.
He
to do the
better
last
be
one.
in the last one. He better be doing the last one. So yeah, no question. Thumbs up, 100%. At this point, add every single one of these movies into your collection, and this one better be the second one you buy. And I'm giving it a rock solid A. Rock solid.
So you're putting it right there with The Conjuring.
Rock solid A, man.
Right on, man.
Rock solid.
I was kind of wondering if you were going to dig it as much.
When I tell you they're like this,
Right.
I mean, it's like a ham and cheese sandwich.
That close.
That like
You got to peel them off.
I'm talking about like the ham and cheese loaf.
Oh.
Like, it's got the cheese and the meat.
There you go.
But yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. And for everyone who's listening to the podcast or watching the podcast on YouTube, man, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about The Conjuring, man. The Conjuring universe, The Conjuring Part 2.
It's down in this area.
Yeah.
Somewhere below. Just go down.
And hit that like and subscribe button on all of our platforms. We'd really appreciate it. But our next episode will be The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, which I hate that name.
I've never seen it. I remember seeing the trailer for it and thought, man, I got to see this.
And then you just never did.
Never did.
No. But I've seen it one time, and it was in theaters.
Was it got Ed and Lorraine in it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
They're the main
actors. I was going to like skip that episode if they weren't in it.
No. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy. And as always, remember to stay scared.
Stay spooky.